Hey guys, it's God's Comic Brad Stine, and today we need to explore the notion as to when will we reach a time in history where women will finally be just like men. Hopefully, never. Ooh, did that sound toxic and patriarchal? Good. Come on in. I gotta ask this question. Did anyone ever look at a man who got a woman pregnant, walked away, leaving her to fend for herself, and considered him an honorable man? No? No, just the opposite. We saw them as someone shirking their responsibility and taking the easy and frankly cowardly way out. You were a cad, a jerk, a brute, and to make it a bit less family friendly, a jackass. Yet for some reason, somebody thought it a good idea at the heart of the feminist movement to, instead of making their focus of holding men accountable for their failure to act like a man, they instead decided to cure this problem by giving women the encouragement and the right to behave exactly like these childish men with the exact same options. So, instead of expecting more of men, women were taught to expect less of themselves. You see, in the case of pregnancy, women have always been found in a different situation than men, clearly. They weren't like men at all, and that if they ever got pregnant, they couldn't just run away from it because no matter where they went, the baby followed them, or technically was always leading the way, or to be more geographically accurate, the baby was always one step ahead of them. Consequently, to become exactly like men, if women couldn't just disappear, then they had to be able to make the baby disappear. The only way to accomplish that was for the pregnancy to be terminated. In other words, the baby had to pay with its life for the choices of the man and woman. That is what happens, by the way. The science is settled. When a human woman gets pregnant from a human man, they together create a human being. It amazes me to no end the damage the feminist movement has done to women over the years in reducing them to nothing more than miserable beings who are so unhappy in life because of the patriarchy, of course, that the only way to get even with these horrible men and to get back at these horrible men and to be free from the constraints imposed by these horrible men and to get revenge on the legacy of the evil promulgated by these horrible men is for women to once and for all become exactly like these horrible men. You see, humans are formed and influenced by two sources. One is the culture, and the other is your biology or gender-specific inclinations, which the left is committed to pretending doesn't exist. Yet, what the science has revealed through numerous clinical studies is that men are more interested in things and women are more interested in people. I once watched Jordan Peterson's segment where he was talking to a woman who believed in the leftist narrative, that the only reason there aren't more women as engineers, for example, and prime ministers and oil riggers is because culture has traditionally steered them away from pursuing those jobs. Premise is that the historical patriarchal culture had decided that women were of little value to society other than to cook and clean and manage the house and, of course, make babies. So the solution to this dilemma was simple. We need to raise little boys and little girls exactly the same. Boys would be given dolls, girls would be given toy guns. Well, not toy guns, because that might inspire them to glorify weapons and war and death like boys always have. So no one ever really had to convince a boy or encourage a boy to play with weapons and reenact warlike scenarios. They never had to do that because it's in the boy's nature. It literally seems to be grafted in his genes that war and fighting and defending his home and country and castle was not only noble but required of him. So even though every right, every freedom, every culture that ever instigated any type of justice and peace only happened not by some sort of serendipity, but by the point of a spear or arrow or bullet. every country that has ever cherished liberty and had a season of peace and tranquility always earned that privilege by fighting for it. Nevertheless, the story went on to explain that in Scandinavian countries, which are the most egalitarian countries on earth, and have actually put into practice the habit of encouraging and expecting equal outcomes for both sexes in regards to potential career or educational choices, they desired these things, and yet they found out that the exact opposite of what the egalitarian theory proposed was instead manifested. The women, who by nature are more nurturing, still chose the careers that catered to that nature. The women outnumbered the men in acquiring nursing degrees, teaching, and other traditionally female jobs. Women, astonishingly enough, even though given all the encouragement and opportunity in the world, for some unexplained reason, don't sign up in droves to become construction workers, mathematicians, or bricklayers. Men weren't chomping at the bit to become librarians and dental hygienists and hairdressers. So what's my point? If we are ever going to find some kind of balance and return to civility in America, we are going to have to quit living by lies. Men and women are simply different. The last thing women need to be complete is to strive to be more like the very men that the left has deemed toxic. It doesn't even make sense. God said he made them male and female, and any ideology that thinks they can circumvent the Creator's grand design because they know better the needs, motivations, and desires of men and women, more so than God himself, well, they are creating a recipe for untold disaster and heartbreak. Men need to step up their commitment to be virtuous, loyal, noble to their wives. Women need to be secure in the beauty and miraculous way God uniquely created them to be and to excel. Strive to be whatever your heart desires, but please don't think there is something to be gained by trying to be more like a man, ladies. Instead, be invigorated by the reality that the more you are a woman, the more you will be perfectly content in your own skin, just like God intended. This is God's Comic, Brad Stine, and I know some things are hard to swallow, but these truths will change you forever and bring America back to the balance it needs to find. Oh, and PC free is liberty. I know all you ladies out there are saying, gee, we really love your work, Brad, but how can we support you in the best possible way? Well, you just go to my YouTube channel, Brad Stine Has Issues, and subscribe and get your husband to do it too, because the truth is, women, you pretty much control us. I'll admit it. And guys, you go over to my Facebook page, fan page, and you like it, and you follow it, and then you get your wife to do it, and you send it to all your friends, and together we'll create an army of men and women who act like men and women, unashamed to celebrate their uniqueness, but really, really excited to celebrate me. I guess that's really what it's all about. Brad Stine Has Issues. Subscribe, share, follow right now. If you're not, you're a girly guy or a guyly girl. I'm egalitarian.